We will now hear the young voices of a rising generation. Please welcome to the stage the Executive Director of the Girls United for Human Rights, Hadiqa Bashir.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Hadiqa Bashir. I am from the tribal belt of Pakistan, Swat, once under the stronghold of Taliban. And this, in 22nd century, still in Swat region, girls face harmful practices such as swara and child marriage. Swara is where girls are given in a compensation of a crime done by men. And still, 63% of girls get married before at the age of 16. When I was 7-year-old, one of my friends told me that she's getting married. And all of us were very excited about her wedding. For us, it was a dual marriage. But we didn't know what is the consequences of that marriage. We thought that she will come to school, but she did not. When we used to go to her mother-in-law house and wanted to play with her, her mother-in-law told us that she is now a woman, and she cannot play to you. And we arranged a party for her at school. She did come to the school, but she was very pale and down. We asked her that what happened, and she told us that her husband beat her with an iron wire. And I really wanted to do something for her at that time, but I was told that it's a tradition. My friend's face haunted me for a month. When I turned 11, a marriage proposal came for me. The man was a taxi driver. And my family said yes, because it was a really good proposal. And my grandmother told me that it's a tradition, and your aunt got married at the age of 11, 12, 13. I started crying, and I said that I don't want to marry to that guy. And I always believed that girls deserve childhood, not chains. They deserve to dream, they deserve to speak, they deserve a freedom. I was lucky when one of my uncles supported me, and he told me about the human rights and about the child marriage law. And that was life-changing for me, and I stood up for myself. And I went to my grandmother that if she got me married to that man, I will file a case on her in the court of law. And she was very angry, and she said that if she's coming to me, maybe she can also go to the court and file a case on me. So I thought that if in a family where everyone is educated, and they don't consider child marriage as a crime or a sin, what about around us? And that's how my journey started of activism. And at the age of 13, I founded Girls United for Human Rights, where we go door to door and aware families about the negative impact of early and forced marriage. We did meetings with the imams, the prayer leaders, so that they can speak in their Friday sermons about child marriage, about women's rights, about girls' rights. We did meetings with the legislators so that they can make girls-friendly laws and implement that laws into PATA. We also enrolled 150 girls into school. And when every time they are stopped from child marriage, and when they go to schools, that gives us strength. We have recently, 3 months ago, we have for the first time launched a STEM and SRHR fellowship where girls were able to learn about STEM education and SRHR. And the people of our region think that living in a patriarchy society, they think that STEM education is only for men. And because men are more intellect than women, and the girls of the SWAT show them through their projects that we can do it too. And they have made, from recyclable materials, they have made sanitary pads, they have made water filters, they have made solar lamps, and they have shown them that we can do it too. And they have also started their own startups. We also work on SRHR and climate change. Also, they think that women cannot take part in a climate change, and they cannot protect the environment. And we have planted more than 3,000 trees. Through our work, we have enlightened the paths for girls and to raise as a leaders, decision makers, and a community, as a change maker of tomorrow. One human being with conviction can bring the real change. Thank you very much.
Joining us now to share her story, please welcome the co-founder of the Center for Integral Crisis Management, Cuenca Experience, and Ducha de Sol, Ana Giménez Pozzoli.
El cóndor andino abre sus alas y se encuentra con la majestuosa cordillera de los Andes. Se eleva hasta 5.000 metros de altura y vuela, observa, solo cuando es necesario, elige aterrizar.
The Andean condor spreads its wings before the Andes Mountains range. It soars at 5,000 meters above sea level. It flies, it observes, and only when necessary does it choose to land.
Buenas tardes a todos y todas. Soy Ana Giménez Pozzoli. Soy de Mendoza, una ciudad andina al oeste argentino.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ana Giménez Pozzoli. I was born in Mendoza, a city in the Andes in western Argentina.
Por mi cuerpo corre sangre española, italiana, mapuche, chilena, portuguesa, pero digo que soy argentina.
Through my blood runs Spanish, Italian, Mapuche, Chilean, and Portuguese blood. But I say I'm an Argentine.
Estudié la carrera de Derecho y actualmente me encuentro finalizando la licenciatura en Gestión Ambiental.
I study law, and I'm currently finishing my bachelor's degree in environmental management.
Para contarles un poco por qué estoy acá compartiendo con ustedes en esta jornada, me gustaría contarles algunos hitos de mi trayectoria como voluntaria.
First, I'd like to share with you, for you to know why I'm here, I'd like to share with you about 3 key points in my life in terms of me starting with volunteering work.
Todo empezó hace 30 años, cuando papá y mamá se conocieron siendo voluntarios en un orfanato y pronto me convertí al nacer en la voluntaria más pequeña.
My journey as a volunteer began 30 years ago when my parents met volunteering at an orphanage, and soon thereafter I became the youngest volunteer there.
Luego empecé a ser voluntaria en diferentes organizaciones, hasta que en una de ellas, donde brindábamos comida a personas que estaban en situación de calle, conocí a Andrés.
I joined various social organizations. One of them, we provided their food for people experiencing homelessness.
Cuando yo, algo simplista, le pregunté por qué no terminaba el colegio y podía acceder a un trabajo de calidad, él me dijo: ¿cómo esperás que termine mis estudios en una escuela si lo que tengo puesto es mi única muda de ropa? No tengo dónde lavarme la cara todos los días. Me da vergüenza, me parece una falta de respeto en una escuela. Imagínate ir a pedir trabajo.
There I met Andres, a person living in homelessness, and someone simplistically, I asked him, why didn't he finish school so he can get a job? How do you expect me to finish my studies at a school when the clothes I'm wearing are my only ones and I have nowhere to wash my face every day? It feels disrespectful and I'm ashamed to go to school dirty. Imagine showing up to ask for a job.
Ahora me gustaría que se imaginen la mirada emocionada de Andrés cuando, gracias a A su testimonio, cofundamos Ducha de Sol, una organización social en la que fabricamos calefones y calefactores solares con material recuperado para entregarle a las familias que no tienen acceso a higiene.
Now imagine Andres' eyes when I told him that his story inspired Solar Shower, Ducha de Sol, a project where we build solar water heaters and solar heaters out of recycled material.
Luego sí, siguió mi vida como voluntaria hasta que el año pasado, como coordinadora nacional de expansión territorial de Techo Argentina, participé en la construcción de viviendas de emergencia para familias de Bahía Blanca, Buenos Aires, que en una noche con un temporal perdieron todos sus hogares.
After continuing my volunteering path, last year I served as the National Expansion Coordinator for Territorial Awareness at Techo Roof, Argentina. I led the construction of emergency housing after a storm in Bahía Blanca, Buenos Aires, had left many people homeless.
Y me gustaría contarles la historia de esta foto. Está en la vivienda de Isabel, una vecina de Bahía Blanca, en donde yo, luego de una jornada de visitar 23 de las 75 viviendas que construimos, encontré este cartel que dice: desde esta tormenta sabremos cómo resistir siempre. El desde marca el inicio de muchos otros temporales de los cuales Bahía Blanca se sigue levantando.
I'd like to share now this image. I found this painting after visiting 23 out of the 70-plus homes that we built. When I entered, I met Isabel, who told me the following. She had this phrase that said, "From this storm, we will always know how to endure." Now, when I asked about the painting, a neighbor told me that a volunteer had given it to her. She was emotional because for the first time, she had a wall on which to hang a painting. Now, the "from" was real, because a year later, Bahía Blanca faced an even more severe storm.
Y estas son dos historias excepcionales que yo les pongo cara, ojos, nombres y apellidos, pero lamentablemente no son únicas.
These are two exceptional stories that have faces, ears, eyes, but very unfortunately, they are not unique whatsoever.
Hoy en Argentina, 1 de cada 10 personas viven en un barrio popular. Hablamos de que entre un 66% y un 90% de ciudadanos y ciudadanas no acceden a servicios de luz, de agua, de cloacas y electricidad.
Today in Argentina, 1 in 10 people live in informal settlements, meaning that between 66 and 99% of them lack access to potable water, electricity, sewer system, as well as natural gas.
Si me voy un poco al paraguas global, hablamos de que 350 millones de personas al año son impactadas por desastres naturales. Hablamos de 10 millones de personas más que la población total de los Estados Unidos.
On average, internationally, climate disasters affect 350 million people per year. That's 10 million more than the entire population of the United States.
Hablamos también de que se estima que para el 2050 América Latina va a tener 17 millones de migrantes climáticos.
By 2050, Latin America is projected to have 17 million climate migrants.
También hablamos de que hemos visto desastres climáticos recientes. Vimos inundaciones en Valencia, España, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Florianópolis, Brasil. Ruby me estuvo mostrando videos de inundaciones hoy y ayer en Colombia. Vimos incendios en Los Ángeles, Estados Unidos, que nos está recibiendo en este momento, en la Patagonia, Argentina, y cuántos otros que tal vez ustedes están pensando en este momento.
And even more recently, within this last year, we have seen flooding in Valencia, Spain, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Florianópolis, Brazil. Recently, even more recently, in Colombia. Now, wildfires here in Los Angeles, in Patagonia, and Argentina, and I'm sure that you can think of many other of these issues.
¿Por qué es importante prevenir versus mitigar? Porque se estima que cada dólar destinado a la prevención ahorra entre 4 y 15 dólares en costos de reconstrucción.
And when it comes to prevention and mitigation, every dollar invested in prevention saves between $4 to $15 in reconstruction costs.
En este contexto, junto a un grupo de amigos y colegas en Mendoza, están haciendo CEGIC, un centro de gestión integral de crisis. Buscamos generar soluciones replicables para comunidades que no poseen infraestructura ni financiamiento prospectivo. Buscamos unificar las soluciones existentes, que sean de una forma tan general que se puedan implementar y adaptar a los desafíos locales. Buscamos crear también nuevos productos.
In this context, from my city and together with a great team of professionals, we're funding CEGIC, which is a Center for Comprehensive Crisis Management. We create replicable solutions for communities without infrastructure or forward-looking funding by unifying existing solutions and by developing new products.
Recientemente nos aprobaron dos pequeños fondos semillas, para un hub de innovación climática y hábitat y un sistema de alerta temprana para contingencias climáticas en donde estamos comenzando a investigar.
Very recently, we were awarded 2 small seed grants to advance our research on a climate innovation and habitat hub, as well as on an early warning system for climate contingencies.
Nuestro proyecto tiene dos grandes planes, uno centrado en respuesta a emergencia climática, con programas referidos a hábitat, refugios climáticos, programa de salud alimentaria y psicológica, programa de asistencia directa y apoyo estratégico.
We have 2 main action plans. The one on climate emergencies has programs for housing and shelters, food and mental health support, direct assistance, and strategic aid.
Y otro eje de emergencia humanitaria dirigido a un programa de desarrollo económico con nuevas y diversas formas de autogestionar fondos, y otro dirigido con un programa de arraigo y desarrollo de oportunidades locales.
So so this is 2 different axes, and the other axis on the humanitarian emergency for economic development strategies, programs to root local opportunities also.
Ahora bien, ¿qué tiene que ver hablar de resiliencia climática, de justicia socioambiental, de soñar con pensar que trabajemos en conjunto por la resiliencia de nuestras ciudades con el cóndor andino?
So what does talking about climate resilience, environmental justice, or dreaming of a network of resilient cities have to do with the Andean condor?
Les cuento. El cóndor, yo he tenido el lujo de verlo en persona en mi ciudad, parece solitario, se lo ve en contraste con el azul turquesa del cielo.
So I'll share it with you. The condor, which I've seen it in my city, in its flight seems solitary, but anyone who has watched it knows that it rides shared currents.
Pero él no vuela solo, tiene su comunidad como también la tengo yo. Si cierro los ojos, y tal vez si los tengo abiertos y los veo a ustedes, pero si cierro los ojos, pienso en compañeros y compañeras que están viendo desde este momento la presentación, en todos aquellos que están en territorio co-construyendo con sus comunidades las soluciones.
But he doesn't fly alone. Just like me, I can close my eyes and I can think of people, but I can also open them and see you. So people that we can together build and work together in all these solutions.
Por otro lado, al atardecer, después de observar todo desde las alturas, el cóndor vuelve a su nido.
Now, when the day ends and the condor returns to his nest,
invitándonos a que aprovechemos estos espacios de entender lo que nos duele, de entender lo que nos moviliza, para cuando volvemos a nuestro nido, entendamos cómo seguir trabajando y con más energía que antes con nuestras comunidades.
that reminds me of the importance of always returning home to co-create, transform our communities, and continue searching for new opportunities to work together and help.
Por último, imaginen lo difícil que es para un ave que tiene 4 metros de alas abiertas aterrizar. Yo a veces me siento así, con ese miedo, con ese cansancio de cómo aterrizo.
Now imagine how hard it is for a bird with a 4-meter wingspan to land. That's how I feel at times, in the face of complex and various challenges.
Por eso nos quiero invitar a que nos encontremos para entusiasmarnos, para potenciarnos, para descubrir cómo ahorrar energía que tan poca y agotador a veces suena, para que podamos energizarnos y poder aterrizar de forma eficiente y con propuestas concretas, sin tanto desgaste.
So I ask you to meet, for all of us to get together, have a change in paradigm. We can no longer work separately. So let's come together as humanitarians and help this landing to be smoother.
Para cerrar, me gustaría agradecer por darme la oportunidad de ser voz de tantos latinos y latinas que hoy estamos poniéndole el cuerpo, la innovación y el propósito al servicio de co-construir soluciones con nuestras comunidades.
So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the voice of so many Latinos and Latinas who today put their bodies, their innovation, and their purpose at the service of co-creating solutions in our communities.
Y ya así para cerrar, me gustaría citar en un contexto tan particular a mi compatriota, el Papa Francisco.
And to close, I'd like to share with some words from my fellow countryman, Pope Francis.
Y recordar que nos pidió que hagamos lío, que nos organicemos bien, que hagamos un lío que nos dé un corazón libre, que nos llene de esperanza, y de solidaridad.
Who reminded us to make a mess, a well-organized mess though, one that gives us a free heart, one that gives us solidarity and hope.
Los invito a que nos animemos a revolucionar lo que nos duele, todo lo que hemos escuchado, que le tememos, que nos moviliza, pero no desde el miedo, no desde el odio, no desde la confrontación, que eso el mundo tiene mucho, sino que realmente nos animemos a revolucionar desde la ternura, como nos enseñó Francisco, y quiero agradecerles por el espacio.
So I invite you to join us in revolutionizing what hurts us. And as we have heard, not through hatred, fear, or confrontation, of which the world already has plenty, but together to revolutionize with tenderness, like Pope Francis has reminded us. Thank you very much.
Let's now give a warm welcome to a JD candidate at UCLA School of Law, former climate advisor to United Nations Secretary General, and founder and executive director of the Future Generations Tribunal, Ayisha Siddiqa.
Hi guys. As it was just announced, I'm a full-time law school student, and it's in the middle of my finals for me. So I didn't have the opportunity to prepare slides. But I do want to start my presentation by sharing a story, one that is really ancient to this country, and it goes like this. Many, many years ago, the first chiefs of the Americas came together to ask a single question. How shall we govern our people? To find the answer, they did not look to the emperors or kings, they looked to the world around them, to the trees and rivers, to the animals, the stars. They looked at creation itself. And what they saw was a vast, intelligent web of life. They understood that as children of nature, they only needed to observe it, to learn from it. And so they made themselves a promise. They said, let nature be our teacher, let her teach us how to write our laws. The first lesson she offered was, in nature there is a balance. There's harmony of male and female and the two-spirit who walk between and beyond. When that balance is broken, when there are too many male deer and not enough female deer, when there are trees that do not bloom fruit, nature suffers. So the chiefs agreed that there would be an equal number of seats for men and women, and there would always be a seat for two-spirit people on their council. Only through that balance could they reflect on the harmony of the world that they belong to. Then they asked, what do the beings of nature protect above all else? What do the beings of nature give their most care to? And the answer was simple. It has always been incredibly simple. They're young. They're children. The wolf, the whale, the eagle, their future lies in the safety of their children. So the chiefs made another vow. In the center of every council, they kindled a small fire, and they called it the children's fire. It was more than just a flame. It was a law, a sacred trust, that no decision, no law, no power of any kind shall be exercised in a way that harms the children. Not just human children, but all children, all species, for all time. I don't know if I can confidently say that we as a society operate like that anymore, or if we ever did. I stand before you today, not as an individual, but a voice for the countless communities whose futures are tethered by the escalating climate crisis. From my tribe, as my sister Hadiqa said earlier, the graves of my grandparents and countless cousins I've lost to polluted waters. I stand before you as someone who sat in the Amazon rainforest, whose gifts I wear in my ears. I have witnessed firsthand the profound impacts of the environmental crisis, and I am scared. Scared of what is to come for the children of my tribe and the people around the world. That is why my colleagues from across the globe and I have taken it upon ourselves to set the rules for the future. Because we don't have time to keep asking for it to be considered. That is why I registered to get my law degree here at UCLA. The Future Generations Tribunal, the project that I've been working on, it's not just an initiative, it's a moral imperative. It is a collective refusal to let loss become the ordinary. It is a model for repair. It's a way of holding ourselves accountable for the decisions we make today that will echo for centuries. Just last year, when this project was launched, at the International Court of Justice at The Hague, we brought together stories. And they were not just stories of isolated pain, they show directly how the climate crisis is impacting people. And our purpose, our project's purpose, the tribunal, is to honor the testimony, acknowledge the pain, but ensure that it carries legal and ethical weight. And I wanted to take some time to share those stories with you today. At our first tribunal, we heard from people all over the world, and one Pacific Islander held a map of his ancestors' graves, now underwater, and he asked, "How will my grandchildren know who they are if the waves take our history?" A Congolese mother poured toxic water from a mining site into glass, and she said, "This is what my children drink, is murder in slow motion." A Sami reindeer herder, Sami are the indigenous people of the Arctic, said that the ice is vanishing. Without it, our reindeer starve. Without them, our culture dies. We presented these testimonies to the world's highest court, the International Court of Justice. And we did it because the law, as a fundamental body, is not only backwards looking, it doesn't have many opportunities for citizens to share their stories. The International Court of Justice only takes callings from member states. So my team of 4 young people, all who are law students, spent months gathering testimonies all over the world to bring the world's biggest problem to the world's highest court. This September, we're going to East Africa to bring the tribunal there, to places like Tanzania and Ethiopia, where colonial theft and climate crisis have collided. We will bring elders, but we will also have children as young as 4 years old to as old as 25 to share their testimonies because it is their futures that is at risk. And this, in my opinion, is real justice. It's the amalgamation of science, of tradition, and story working together, not just for today, but for the next 7 generations. And this is what we've learned from history. And so I leave you with a simple question, as so many of you are humanitarians, you're pioneers, so many of you have won the award. You have a choice to light the children's fire in the face of the future. And so I ask you a really simple question. Is the children fire in your laws Is it in your business? Is it in your courts? Is it in your governance? The fire is a sacred promise. It's an old tradition held by many indigenous peoples, including my own, that every decision that we make must honor the well-being of the children yet to come. The time has come to stop treating future generations as an afterthought. Because to fix the problems of the next 100 years, we must first repair the damage of the last 300. Thank you very much.